Developing tonight, violent clashes in Venezuela amid a standoff over humanitarian aid. Thousands of protesters take to the streets as tensions reach a crisis level in the country. Here with reaction to that and much more, former governor and Fox News contributor Mike Huckabee joins me now. Governor, Nicolas Maduro today cut ties with Colombia. His thugs in Venezuela have been burning aid trucks with medicine and food that are trying to come into the country on the Colombian border. The White House obviously is watching this very closely. Former Ambassador John Bolton and National Security Advisor John Bolton tweeting, "These 4 Venezuelan military members chose to stand with the people today. We were honored by their commander-in-chief, Juan Guaido, and welcomed by the democratic world. The rest of the Venezuelan military should follow." What he's referring to is that there are now defections from the military, which has been backing Nicolas Maduro at this point. They are now on the side of the president of the United States, and democracies across the world are recognizing Juan Guaido. What is your response to the developments in Venezuela today?
Well, Katie, first of all, it's another collapse of socialism and a reminder that it doesn't work. And ultimately, we see yet another rich nation turned into an impoverished nation because of socialism and corruption. You have to add that in. But we also see what a strong U.S. policy does. Even Jeb Bush today tweeted out commendation for President Trump's handling of the Venezuelan situation. And Jeb is no big supporter of President Trump, so I think that's very significant. But it's a very honest assessment. This wouldn't be happening if it weren't for the very strong policies toward freedom and encouraging the people of Venezuela to take charge. And now we're seeing these defections. Katie, it is a seminal event there, and it looks like it's unraveling in Venezuela against the regime.
But as we've seen, Juan Guaido, who again is recognized by the United States and other democracies across the world, he's on the front lines at the border in Colombia trying to push this aid through as Nicolas Maduro continues to fire live ammunition at protesters and volunteers who are trying to distribute this aid. And yet we have politicians, some running for president in the United States, Bernie Sanders, saying, condemning Maduro in some way, but not saying that he should go. What is your response to that?
Well, Bernie Sanders has never met a communist he didn't love. I mean, he did his honeymoon in the Soviet Union back in the day. This is a guy who has been captured on video over the past 40 years of praising Fidel Castro, praising every communist leader, and often at the expense of the United States. I'd like to think that there are sane and rational Democrats who recognize that Bernie Sanders cannot represent their views and the views of Americans and the views of traditional Democrats who find those ideas utterly repulsive.
Well, Bernie Sanders, of course, upheld Venezuela as an example of how socialism works. And now that it's completely fallen apart as a result of socialism, he doesn't really want to talk about it. What do you think the outcome is going to be here from a national security perspective for the United States? Because it is getting very violent. Maduro doesn't seem like he's going to go. There are defections from the military there, but it's a very serious, violent situation that could get much worse.
I think ultimately there will be a takeover of Venezuela, if you will, an uprising that will lead to the ousting of Maduro, because the people have seen their lives totally collapse. Their economy is in the toilet. They don't want to live like this. They know what it was like when they had freedom, and now they know what it's like under socialism, and they're rejecting it. They're doing the same thing that people around the world have done, and they're doing it at great expense and at great risk to themselves and their families, which show you the desperation of people who, having tasted freedom, want to enjoy it yet again. And I hope that people will recognize that we're blessed to live in the United States, and frankly, we're very fortunate to have a president who doesn't just walk away and turn a blind eye to the horrors that are going on in the socialist Venezuela, and is supplying help and assistance to try to get that freedom back for the people there.
All right, Governor Mike Huckabee, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You bet. Good to talk to you, Katie.